Wherever the Gen Zs are occupying, we will find our very own Edwin Obuya.
Yes, sir.
And Philip Muruto. Karibuni, guys. Karibuni.
Santa Sana, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes.
It's a very chilly morning in the nation's capital. Gen Z, wataweza kuoccupy CBD leo?
We have seen that without the police, actually, the Gen Zs come out and they do their thing and they go home. Mm-hmm. For the first time, I think, in the longest time, we saw the huge crowds when they came out on Sunday for Sabasaba celebration.
Yeah, you saw that. Huh?
They were huge crowds.
I mean, those are Raila crowds, or those are Ruto kind of crowds.
Yeah, those are crowds that politicians will crave to have. They will go to great lengths to have such a crowd. And what amazes me is that despite the fact that there's no leader for these Gen Z's demonstrations, they are so organized, such that they come out, unaona Sanaipea anakuja kwa stage, unaona BN wanakuja stage,
hata Eric Wainaina
anakuja stage. You wonder who is organizing all these demos and who is organizing all those functions, and it's just organic. And my senator appears there, Mutata, and people are praising him for calling for Mutata for president. Yes. But what my point is that without the police involvement, it is all peaceful. There were no tear gases, there were no nothing. They just came, they sang, they made their message known, and they went home. And this is exactly what happened even when Raila Odinga tried to be sworn in, during 2017, yeah. Mm-hmm. And he came, his supporters came in huge numbers, and they were allowed to do their thing, and they went home. So mostly without the police being involved in such a things, demos are almost always peaceful. Even yesterday we had the intern doctors. There were no police involved. It was peaceful.
One thing I'm happy about the Sabasaba gathering is that they emphasized, or they brought back the reason to why we have spaces like Uhuru Park. When I saw those crowds Pale Uhuru Park, I felt this is how such parks are supposed to be, of use to Mwananchi. You see now that every other space is being encroached. Before you know it, Jivanji, you cannot convene in Jivanji peacefully because it is at the center of the city. Mm-hmm. But with the spaces like Uhuru Park that accommodated people, after I don't remember the last time I saw such a large crowd in Uhuru Park since the swearing in of Baba several years back. I have not seen such a crowd. This went to underline the fact that the Gen Zs are still out here, and if they want to mobilize, they will mobilize.
Right.
And they displayed that they brought the message home that we can still mobilize. So don't think that maybe because of 1, 2, 3 things we have gone to hiding. We are still here, and whenever we are called upon, we will come and we will do exactly what is needed to be done. So it was a good show. Police, I saw them being involved, being included in selfies around those grounds and anywhere else they were deployed. I saw the Gen Zs, the Walimalizia town, and the police were there. We did not hear those stories that we've been hearing that go with the Maandamano. And I think this is something that should be a lesson to the powers that be, that sometimes just allow people space to express themselves.
FanyaMambo looks a little cold this morning. Speaking of Gen Zs,
yes,
that X space that the president went and discussed, or rather interacted with them, that was unprecedented. It was the first time.
Yes, it was.
It was good engagement.
The fact that president could come to a space he never envisioned in his life, called space, tells them that 2027 is a space they had never envisioned in any of their dreams. That is what the young people will bring to this country. The 2027 elections will be, people are thinking, Rigiji, I don't know, Raila Odinga, I am telling you 2027 will be a very new ball game. They will see things they have never seen in 2027.
But will they be able to vote, Obuya? They don't have IDs yet, even though they're saying they will mobilize. I want IDs.
we had them speak out when they were planning the first round of protests. They said, right now, if you go to any IEBC office, you want to be registered as a young person, they will tell you the commission is not constituted. They will give you all those excuses just so that you do not go through with that. But now we are going to have that in place. I think that is the place we'll begin that conversation from. Let that be constituted, and then if any young person will go to register and be told, given excuses, I don't think they will like it if that comes up.
The president is signing the bill into law today at KICC. I'm told he has a cabinet meeting, but he's first going to sign that bill into law. So at KICC it's going to happen. There are no major changes. This is one of those NADCO bills that were proposed after the talks that happened between Azimio and Kenya Kwanza. And one of the changes that were made in that bill is that the panel is going to be increased from 7 to 10. The IEBC selection panel, the panel that is going to select the new IEBC commissioners, is going to be expanded to 10. We're also going to see that the changes that the Senate made was that one of the changes is that the vice chair, or the vice chair of the commission, cannot assume the chairmanship of the commission if the chairperson is not there. So when the chairperson is not there, then the commissioners must sit and then decide who is going to be the chairperson, because there are rules and there are requirements of the chairperson that are not necessarily those of the deputy chairperson. And so the deputy chairperson cannot just assume that because Jeff is the chair and is not there, then Obuya, I can now take over as the deputy chair. That cannot happen from the amendments that were made. And so this is one of those NADCO bills. It's actually the first NADCO bill that has been passed by the House. The last time we did a registration drive of IEBC was 2022. We have not had any registration since 2022 to now. There are two constituencies which don't have representatives.
Yeah.
There are several laws that don't have representatives, and that's unconstitutional. Boundary delimitation has not been done. Actually, we are behind the issue of doing boundary delimitation, and the Constitution requires that you do that. It was to be done this year by March. We have not done that, and so we are so much far behind. And we saw the other day IEBC writing to the Supreme Court they wanted advisory. Can they continue doing delimitation without the commissioners? But it has been ruled before that the commission is not a commission without the commissioners. And so we are hoping that when the president signs this into law, then we are going to move fast enough to reconstitute. There was already a constituted panel to try and select IEBC commissioners, but that was stopped to allow the NADCO talks to happen. And so we are hoping that when the president signs this bill into law today at 9 a.m. for the first time, again, he's not doing it at State House. He'll be doing it at KICC, just to allow to make sure that each and every person then is involved. Because as a NADCO bill, it's not just about Kenya Kwanza, it's about the bill for Azimio and also a bill for Kenya Kwanza. And so that's why the reason as to why they are signing it at KICC.
It's got nothing to do with it being done in a public place at KICC. It's got everything to do with Gen Zs might decide to take advantage of that opportunity when the media and the others are going to State House for it, to visit that barracks right now, and it's a very fortified place. So basically it's not going to happen at State House. I think that place has become a no-go zone, no-fly zone, no imagination zone. So you are not going there. That bill is not being signed at State House for the simple reason that State House right now looks like a military barracks. But having said that, I think when we were talking about the young people and what happened on Sunday, there is a bunch of Kenyans that we want to put on notice. And if you are listening to me, you better get this very correctly. There is a good number of MPs that Kenyans have rejected, people who voted yes. And people think that those MPs, we are rejecting them just because they voted yes. That's not what they did. What they did is they came with a bad bill, and then they paid policemen to beat up anybody who rejects that bill. They came with policemen and told them to shoot anybody who refuses to allow them to sit in parliament and vote for that bill. Now, what those MPs have done, because they received a lot of salamus here and there, they are unable to go back to the ground. Now, they are using our CDF money. And I'm putting every blogger on notice. They are using our CDF money to pay a few hungry people 500 shillings for bundles, 200 shillings and 1,000 shillings for bundles, to keep them relevant online, telling us MP fulani ni mzuri, alijenga darasa, alijenga na pesa yake ama alikuja na pesa kutoka wapi? That is our money. So they keep telling us that these horrible people are good people. And these are the bloggers that we are putting on notice. Because what will happen to you if you are not aware, by the way? There's something FanyaMambo calls an avalanche of hello. You don't know whether it's something called an avalanche of hello. Hiyo simu yako itapata 3,000 messages per second. Hello, 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 hello. 3,000 messages per second. Because we shall be telling you hello as a blogger and telling you cannot continue forcing down on the throats of Kenyans, MPs that people have rejected. Now they are trying to threaten Kenyans and tell them, oh, bursaries are around the corner. You people have refused your MP, so he's not going to. This is not his money. I saw Karongo Adhangwa shining with ideas that we had given the other day about amalgamating all the monies that are being spent on bursaries. And I'm going to tell Kenyans here, if you are a blogger and if anybody here is an admin of a WhatsApp group and the bloggers of those horrible MPs we rejected, remove those bloggers from those WhatsApp group. On all social media pages where we have bloggers of MPs telling us horrible things about people that we do not want, remove them. And we are not going to give them any space to come and start telling us things about, because what is impeding our fight, because we are now moving forward. We are telling the president to remove some cabinet secretaries, to remove people from government that we feel are incompetent. And we have already worked so hard to remove these MPs from the scene. You, if you're a blogger and you're being used by the way, you're telling us he builds schools, as who voted for you as the blogger. So we are not going to allow that kind of nonsense to happen. We have defined a public enemy, and you bloggers who are being paid with CDF money to come and tell us things that we don't want to hear. You're also public enemies. You will receive an avalanche of hello, 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 hello. 3,000 messages. That Chinese phone of yours is going to crash. You will have to restore factory settings. You'll even lose the MP's number that you're defending. And I have told people, hii salamu musipeleke to become physical. That I have always been clear about. Don't beat them up. But once we are done, we will send you so many emails. Even your Gmail account will be blocked. You have to open a new one. So please, anybody who is seeing these bloggers on social media trying to sell us MPs that we have rejected, please make those bloggers so uncomfortable with an avalanche of hello so that they can now desist, and then we are able to move forward.
Obuya, we're in July right now.
Yes.
Once this is reconstituted today, what's the timeline, basically, average for us to have an IEBC in place?
We might be having new panelists for this function, and so they'll have to first sit, select who is going to chair, who is going to be the vice chair, and then send out, people to apply, and then people will apply, and then they'll have to sift and see who is going to make it to the short list.
900 applied.
That
for chairman alone.
But they need to give a disclaimer that if you want to apply for IEBC commissioner, it's one of the easiest scientifically proven methods of losing your hair very quickly.
Who would want to be a commissioner?
No, Kenyans will apply. You will be surprised. No. Okay, money is one of the main drivers. People don't have jobs actually, and hata hiyo kwa commissioner utapata kuna watu watapply wengi sana to be commissioners. Out of the commissioners that will require, there are lots and lots of Kenyans that are going to apply to be commissioners. And so it will be again on this panel to shortlist and say this is the best, FanyaMambo is the best. And that is why there was that hula baloo previously, because Azimio Coalition thought then that the process as it was ongoing, it was largely a Kenya Kwanza process. And so they thought that it's not going to be a fair IBC. The outcome is not going to be fair. And it's, it's not just supposed to be fair, but it has also to be seen to be fair. And so that's why we have gone through the NADCO route. We have gone through now this route again to the law is being signed, and then the panel will be selected, and the first hurdle will be the selection of the panel, because again, if the panel is selected and one party feels that this panel is aligned to the other side, again we'll hear all those other noises.
Jeff, there's hope. After what has happened in the country in the last 1 month or so, there's hope. Even these positions that are being put up for people to apply, right now, people who want to go for those positions will be thinking twice before they go for them. One, right now they know you can't just go for it because of the money. There are people watching. People that have come up in the name of Gen Zs. When you go to that job called the IEBC chair, commission chair, you have to know that kama walitoa kijasho our old president, to the extent of him dropping our old finance bill that is tantamount to a vote of no confidence in his own administration, how about a commissioner who wants to mess the country up? If it were the time that Chebukati was in office, I'm very sure the attempts that Baba made at Anniversary Towers and he couldn't get to Chebukati's office, these young people would have gotten to that office. So anyone looking for any position right now has to think twice. It is not the Kenya that they've been used to. It is not business as usual. So that is one. That is what gives us hope. Two, I would want there are people, the spaces, the express that the president made use of the other day. People are now imagining, because I saw one Kipchumba Murkomen speaking somewhere and saying he's ready for, and he even made fun of it, these X's and Y's and Z's I'm ready for those spaces. They may be misinformed. They may be reading this the wrong way. Kwamba, the president may have gotten some reprieve or some fame, or he may have gotten an opportunity to redeem himself. Let me tell you, I want the young people not to allow just anybody who wants to come to the X spaces for such conversations to come there, because when you hear someone saying president aliingia huko na hata wale walikuwa wanapiga kelele sana wakatoroka. These are people who are making it worse even for the administration of the day. So those that are thinking they can just go to those places to redeem themselves or to prove a point, like I had some of them make in their remarks, I think this is what young people should be watching out for, and ensuring that space is there to achieve objectives such as what we achieved when the president had to drop the finance bill.
This cabinet reshuffle that they are talking about,
the
first thing we want is those names now have to be floated to the public for us to first approve or disapprove.
But they've been there. Someone released the names the other day.
The ones that are coming. This parliament of ours that has been a conveyor belt, they are told vote yes, they vote yes. Then they are told withdraw the bill, they clap. Those are not the kind of people that we want to choose cabinet for us. We want serious people who understand what it means to be a cabinet minister. So we are requesting the president, once you have the names in your mind, please just float them out there in public and say, do I appoint the following? And Kenyans, because we live with these people, we have ideas of who they are, will tell you whether they are worthy of even being vetted by parliament.
But I thought he was dropping 7, or you want all of them to go?
What?
You want all the cabinet
No, he has to change some of these people. What do you mean drop 7? What have the other 14 done that we can see or touch or smell? At least we remember Michuki for his rules. We remember Matiang'i for the yellow buses. They are cabinet secretaries that we remember Mutahi Kagwe for the 3 males and females and how he handled the corona thing.
And 3 Mutahis, 3 Kagwes.
But he took us through a serious crisis in a very, you could tell he was leading from the front. Now we have cabinet secretaries. I can tell you, Jeff, even you who is a media personality, you'll struggle naming 5 without having to look at the newspaper or Googling on your phone. There are cabinet secretaries who could almost name the whole of cabinet some times back. So these people are thoroughly incompetent. Fire the whole cabinet. There is no reason to keep them. And now as you try to come up with a new cabinet, please involve Kenyans. Some of us know why some of those ministers should not be there. Others, we've been hearing stories of them being caught some places that, is not very interesting. So, and this is what we don't want. We don't want a horrible cabinet again. So if the president is going to do a reshuffle, we don't trust his parliament, the one that wanted to give us a finance bill, na tukikataa, they were ready to shoot us so that they pass a bill that makes pads and so many other things unaffordable for us. This cabinet right now has to be selected in a manner that shows that Kenyans are being involved in the selection of the people. After all, we are the ones paying them, not the president. So we need to know who we are paying with our money. and for us to approve whether we want those people to be paid with our money, because some of them are such horrible characters and we don't want to see that happen.
Name 3.
And by the way, if you want to know that Gen Z has done really well, you know France has got a new government, eh?
No, they're still debating.
Yes.
They're still debating.
You know the UK has a new prime minister.
Yes.
And you know the jet that was available from France is still there. And you know there's someone who is not going for swearing in. And the jet is still there.
Even for Olympics.
Even for Olympics. So it tells you how effective. Because you just might go, then you find Gen Zs on the airport, you know, doing TikToks on the runaway. So, and they are very good at that.
We want people who are objective. You get. Right now, because of the salams many of them have received in these corridors, a likelihood of them either shying from going to exercise the mandate that the people gave them. You see, like when the vote was being taken, there are those that have decided to be absent because they fear they'd rather deal with the absenteeism other than a vote that will enhance salam to them. So we risk seeing MPs who either will abscond for the fear of what has happened, or they will come and without using their brain or independence, intellectual independence, decide to do things because of the scare that has been around. That is the one danger that we also run into. So I agree. Even as the president does what he wants to do in the cabinet, the Gen Z should not drop the ball on the intention to recall some of these MPs.
So by the way, speaking of which, I wonder what happened to the majority leader. Did he?
Those are the fears I'm telling you.
Before we even go to the majority leader, I think I feel for the president. I think he's between a rock and a hard place, because this cabinet was appointed solely on loyalty and friendship. It was not about competence. There are one or two CSS will say they are competent, but most of them were appointed because of politics and friendship.
We are at a place where Kenyans don't care if the whole cabinet came from the Ogiek community as long as they are competent. If you've listened to what young people are saying, and by the way, you'll be surprised that there are more millennials at Uhuru Park than even the Gen Zs. The millennials are very many in this fight. What Kenyans are saying right now, the only thing they care about is meritocracy. Are you a good leader? Are you capable? In fact, we are ready to sacrifice regional balance at the altar of good governance. And I have had people propose names from very small communities and saying we can make this president. I mean, who would have thought in this day and age that people would wake up and say, Okia Umtata, a first-time senator, can be our president? Who would have thought that people would come and say a man from Kisii, and you know the Kisiis don't have very many votes, can become president of the Republic of Kenya? Kenyans have gotten to a point where they don't care that if you remove a Meru, you have to replace with a Meru. I am telling you, we don't care. You can remove a Meru and replace with an Ogiek as long as that Ogiek is going to perform. You can remove a Kisii and replace with a Turkana as long as that Turkana is going to perform. What Kenyans are looking at is a country where equal opportunities will be afforded to everybody. We don't care whether it's a Turkana who is going to come and make school affordable for everybody. Who said people are going to vote on tribal lines anymore? We don't even have those tribal voting blocks anymore. Go and ask the villager what's happening to him and his kofias that people are printing all over the place. People are not interested. People do not even want to hear Mount Kenya. People don't want to hear Western. By the way, those people who are still stuck in those regional blocks are lost. The Gen Zs and the millennials have said they are going to hide the IDs of all those people who think that way. They have already said there are certain people who are not supposed to approach polling stations because they think that we are voting as a region, we are voting as a community, we are voting. Iyo maneno iliisha. 2027 will be so different. It will be like Tanzania. By the way, the bulk of the presidents who've headed Tanzania has 1 or 2 tribes. The Chaga, who are the biggest tribe in Tanzania, have never had a president. Most of Tanzanian presidents come from the very tiny tribes in Tanzania, very small tribes, because they look at meritocracy. And that's where this country has gotten to. We shall get to a place where somebody will vie. They will come from a very small community like the Taita Taveta. They will come and they will say, I am good and I am qualified. And I'm telling you, Kenyans will not care. They will vote for that person. Tanzania has done it since independence. In fact, Mwalimu Nyerere came from a very small community. If you read all the Tanzanian presidents, all of them have come from the Chaga, who make almost 30 to 40% of the Tanzanian population, have never had a president, and they probably never will, because Tanzania doesn't think that way.
Speaking
That's
of
where
lost,
the country is.
Whatever happened to Riggy G? Other than 400 million shillings being removed.
Riggy G seems to be a man on the run. It's like everybody's trying. It's like he has some type of leprosy. Nobody wants to associate with him, and that is when I say nobody, I mean elected leaders actually. But from what I hear from on the ground is that Riggy G actually is gaining momentum. The more people are hitting on him, the more mud is being thrown at him. Riggy G is coming out as a man who is speaking for the general public.
So he's a truthful man.
He is the truthful man. When he says, you are going to sabotage my mpango ya kupigana na illicit brew, he is gaining momentum on the ground. But as of now, I think there's a secret hand that is trying to tell each and every MP that is trying to associate with Riggy G, chunga sana. Ukiendelea hivi, be very careful.
There's something we are doing, and we have to be extremely careful. There's a bunch of people Kenyans are rejecting. MPs who always wait when they hear the new party, wanaulizanga ni gani inakula sahi. It's a blue coat, they wear a blue coat. If it's a yellow coat, they wear a yellow coat. They are always turn-coat politicians who turn with every election. The danger we have, and that is why we are fighting the Riggy G story, and it has to be fought very badly, is that there are people who joined this administration by trying to insult Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, and they joined this administration and they became friends of this administration, and they endeared themselves to Kenya, and they wore a yellow coat. Mind you, they had a red one for Jubilee. So now they wear a yellow one and come and say we are good people and we are new. Now these people had started gravitating around Riggy G, not because they love him so much, but they were thinking that Riggy G will become the force that will be seen to be anti the Ruto administration. And so that they continue eating all this time, and then towards the end of the elections, they align themselves with Riggy G, who appears to be fighting this administration. And if Riggy G is going to come up with a new party that will probably wear purple or orange or maybe yellow or whatever, blue, they will now take that benefit and become MPs or senators or governors under that new political party. And then they would wait for the next election and so on and so forth. So what we are doing is telling Kenyans, we want you to mark this politician and to know them by name and face and character, so that whether they move to whichever party or go whichever wave, we shall be telling them, by the way, it's you we don't want. It doesn't matter how many times you camouflage and how many times you change your coat. The time for turncoat politicians has come to an end. This nonsense of you aligning yourself with someone you think is going to carry the next wave and being part of that wave so that you're elected in the new wave and people can make you an MP again or a senator or a governor is done and gone. We will not be fooled. We are marking people by their names so that we say so and so betrayed us. Hata akienda avae koti gani, we would rather vote for an independent, but we are not going with those people. So that's why for us the Riggy G wave would not have been healthy, because people within UDA would have hidden there and camouflaged and tried to show us that they are good people, and we know they voted for finance bill and we rejected them together in the finance bill.
But FanyaMambo, don't forget, Kenyans have a very short memory.
Not this time round.
We have the warthog mentality.
I told you they are going to get an avalanche of messages reminding them.
Saying
3,000 messages. An avalanche of messages, 3,000 messages per second.